Hey crafters, Lisa here from Fun Stuff Crafts. So glad you could join me for another Inspiration Friday. If you're new to my channel and just stopping by for the first time, make sure you click on that subscribe button down below. Click on the little bell and YouTube should alert you each time I upload a new video. Of course, if you're one of my faithful subscribers, thanks so much for stopping by for another Inspiration Friday. So it is another gorgeous day here in the Pacific Northwest, and Father's Day is right around the corner. So I thought it would be really fun to put together a DIY project that you and the kids could do to make that special Father's Day present. So we're going to be using our Cricut Maker this week, and we are going to be using Cricut's Snapmat feature and some photos. So why don't you give me a second to get my camera angle changed. I'm going to join you in my craft room, and we are going to make this DIY Father's Day present using Cricut's Snapmat feature. So let's start out with the supplies we're going to need to make this fun Father's Day present. So what I did is I went ahead and just grabbed some pictures of my husband and my boys, and I printed them off 5x7s just off of my printer. Now, if you don't have the ability to do that, you can definitely just use snapshots you have, or you can upload them. I know you can do a lot of printing like at Walmart or something like that, but I like to start out with a 5x7. The other thing with the pictures is you want to make sure that your people are really close together. So my husband and my sons are really close together, because you're going to see when we're going to lay the letters over it, we want to make sure we're not cutting anybody out. So I've went ahead and grabbed 4 pictures, because we're going to do dad number 1. And then the number 1 sign, I'm just going to use a scrap piece of paper. Okay. So now I do like to use my standard mat for this. And if your mat is not very sticky, you may want to use some wasabi tape to help put that on. So, and I'll show you that, because I may need to do that, because this mat has been used quite a bit. So there's a couple different options of what you can do with the pictures once you get them cut out. Now what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to put it on this canvas. If you don't want to mess with the canvas, the other fun thing to do is to get a floating frame, and you can actually put the cutouts in a floating frame. But what I'm going to do is we're going to paint this just with a black acrylic paint, and so we're going to go ahead and do that. The other thing you need for this project, and it's really important that you understand this, is we're either going to use my iPhone or we're going to use my iPad. That is the only way that you can use the Snapmat feature. You will not find it on the desktop version of Design Space. So I've went ahead and designed the dad number 1 on my desktop, and saved it to the cloud. And then what we're going to do is when we're ready to do the cutting, we're going to bring everything up on my iPhone. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to paint this canvas. Do with whatever color you want. When you start to look at the pictures that you want to use, you might want to put a different background depending on the type of pictures you're using. I just really like the black to have how the pictures pop out. I also like the floating frames though. That is just another nice way to do it. The one thing you want to make sure you do is get all the way around if you're doing a canvas. So I'm just going to go ahead and continue getting this painted, and then I'm going to set this off to the side. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to load our mat. That is the first thing you need to do when prior to using the Snapmat feature. So I'm going to go ahead and remove my plastic cover, and I'm going to take my pictures and I'm going to place them. Now some of them I'm probably going to have to trim. One thing that Cricut needs to see is the entire frame of the mat. Okay, so we want to make sure that that is all on there. So like I've got these pictures that are overlapping a little bit, so I'm actually going to cut them down a little bit so they can all fit nicely. Now, one thing you want to do is keep in mind when we were designing this, we know what the size of our letters are too. So you can kind of get an idea of the size of the picture. Like I said, I printed these all off as 5x7s. Now this doesn't want to come back for me. I cut these all out by 5x7s just so I could have extra space. I did this a couple times as a test run, and my D's weren't cutting out all the way. So we want to make sure that we get them all in. Now this one is going to be the number 1. So and then you could use a picture for the number sign, but I'm just going to use a scrap piece of paper. You guys will see when I wrote a little bit more detail on this on the blog post. Snapmat is another way to use a lot of your scrap paper. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we need to take a picture of the mat with my phone. Okay, and it's inside the app. Now, one of the key things here that I have found is you want to have a plain, non-contrasting background behind it. So what I have found that works really well is I've got just a poster paper, and I'm just going to lay that down here, and then you're going to have your mat just like this, okay? We are going to go in, and this may be hard for you guys to see. I hope this works out. But we are going to go into Design Space. So I've already got my design here, and this is probably hard for you guys to see. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to hit Make It. Now I've already made sure that my phone is connected to Bluetooth, okay? And now what you guys are going to see, if you guys can see down in this bottom corner, it's really hard to kind of see, that is a feature that's called Snapmat. So what I'm going to do is I am going to click it, and what happens now is it has a mat here, right? And it is trying to take a picture. But one of the key things is it has to be show all the way the full mat. And doing it here on the table does not work, okay? So one of the key things you need to do, you guys, and I'm actually up on a stool up above, and I am taking a picture of it, and there are little balls that are making sure that you are setting perfectly straight. And then there is a green line that is going around, and Cricut is going to snap a picture. And it has snapped my picture. And you can see now that I have got the mat there. Now it doesn't matter that my ring light showed there. All it's doing is trying to find the position. Okay, so now we're going to say use. And you can see now, maybe, that my number 1 dad is showing up there. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move the letters over the pictures so they show up where I want them to show up. So I'm just positioning those so I can see everybody's faces. And you can even turn your letters a little sideways if you want. And then what I've got is it all set there, and I'm going to hit continue. I'm going to take the mat and I'm going to load it just like this into the Cricut, okay? First, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to materials and I'm going to say photo paper, because I want to make sure I have the right paper, okay? And then I'm going to take this over to the mat and I'll join you right back after it cuts it. Okay, so we're back from the mat, and what I'm going to do is I always still release everything from my mat upside down. And what we have left, you guys, is we can get rid of all these extras. We have got pictures that are all cut out where everybody's picture is showing, that I can now put together a collage that says number 1 dad. Now, if you guys do not have a Cricut, you can still make this project. You can trace out the letters, or if you guys don't have the patience to use Snapmat, which can be a little frustrating, I will tell you, it's a cool feature, but if you don't have the patience for it, cut out your letters, just regular paper, and then trace them, and you can cut the pictures out. But it's really slick if you can hold the phone or the iPad very steady. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to grab my canvas that we painted, and we are going to start putting this on the canvas. So now we need to decide how we want to lay out our signs. So I was thinking that I might do something like number 1, and then playing with the dad and kind of making it a little staggered. Something like that. Okay, so you guys decide how you want, depending on the size of your canvas. Now, if you're doing a floating frame, all you need to do is put your pictures in. But since we're doing the canvas, the way that we're going to attach these is I am going to be using some of my Mod Podge. Okay, so I'm just using the matte finish Mod Podge, and I am going to put some on the back of the pictures first, and then we are going to do a coat over the top of the pictures. So let's go ahead and coat up that really well. And I'm going to put my number sign right there. And then we're going to put our number 1 off to the side. You guys just think of all the fun pictures you can find of dad and the kids, and don't forget, if you got four-legged kids, make sure you throw them in too. So I'm going to go ahead and just Mod Podge the back of this. Okay, just make sure I get it on there good. Doesn't matter if you get some on the front, because we're going to end up doing over the front also. So just really get good even coat, because you want it to stick. Just think you could come up with all different sayings. You know, you could do daddy. If you did these for grandpa, you could spell out the word grandpa. You know, I'm just using dad as an example. But you can do all kinds of fun things with this. Okay. So I've got it initially laid out there. I put some Mod Podge on the back, okay? And now all I'm going to do is I'm going to do a good coat of Mod Podge all the way over. Now you can use the gloss finish if you want. I just like how the matte looks. And just go right over the top of those pictures. And I like to make sure I get right around the edges really good, and then you can smooth it out. And this is all going to dry clear. I can't wait to show you guys what it looks like once it all dries. So I love the Snapmat feature, but I have to tell you guys, you have to have a steady hand to do it. And I'm going to put some tips and tricks in the blog post, so make sure you hop on over to the blog post for some tips and tricks on using the Snapmat feature. But the other really nice thing about the Snapmat feature is you can use your scrap paper and then just throw it on the mat and then move your images around. So lots of really fun things you can do with that. But I just love using the photos for it. So I can't wait to show you guys what this looks like when it's all dry. I think it's a fun Father's Day gift. Have the kids pick out pictures that they like. Have them help you. Maybe even pose. Maybe you don't have a picture you like and you want just, I saw one post where somebody had just posed their kids with dad's tie and dad's shoes on and took pictures of the kids, and then they used those. So lots of different ideas. So I'm going to go ahead and let that dry. And got a little bit of, that one wants to pop up. Just put it down with my finger again, a little bit of air pocket in there. So I'm going to let this dry, and I'll come back and show you guys what it looks like when it's all done. And here's an example of our finished project once the Mod Podge has dried. I'd just really like to thank you for joining me for another Inspiration Friday. I hope you enjoyed this project using Cricut's Snapmat feature and this step-by-step video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and click on the bell to be reminded whenever I upload a new video. If you have any questions, please add a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. Also, don't forget to check out my blog at funstuffcrafts.com for other DIY projects.